we were surrounded with Jews. We had all the Jewish friends we had. Everybody was Jewish as far as I was concerned.
The Jews lived in the center of town, and the Gentiles' homes and fields surrounded the Jewish part of town like a belt. No one determined a border to the streets where the Jews lived. There was a certain spot where Jewish life stopped, and the life of Lubommel's Gentile citizens began. Houses were made of wood from the trees so abundant in the surrounding forests. Their roofs were covered with straw or shingles made of wood.
The windows had glass, but in winter was very cold, in the summer sometimes cold too.
The street was there after it rained. If you put your foot into the mud, you took out a foot and the boot remained in the mud.
I was born to a very comfortable family. It was considered one of the biggest houses in the little town.
It was a big orchard we had in the back with a big barn that we kept there, the coals and the wood that was chopped up and prepared for the winter.
We always had a cow, always had chickens, always had geese and all that. Had a little garden with flowers just in front of the house.
The water had to be brought from a well, and the toilet was an outhouse. And I remember as a child, I didn't feel that I'm missing anything, because this was the way we lived, and it didn't seem to be primitive, or what I think of now as primitive.
I used to go bring the water, because we had no running water. We used to bring 1 pail or 2 pails water, and then was a man, for the wealthier people, was a man who used to go around and deliver water, and you had to pay him something. The kitchen was everything. In the kitchen you ate, everything was in the kitchen.
It was always soup. There was always plenty of bread at the table. And a piece of meat, my mother would say to us, take another piece of bread so you won't be hungry.
My mother was a beautiful lady. She cooked nice. She was taking good care of the family. She made challah and sponge cake and apple cake and cheesecake. She was a very good balabuste. She baked a lot, she cooked a lot.
We were Jewish, we ate kosher food. There's no such a thing as not eating. You couldn't, if you wanted to, you couldn't eat non-kosher because it was all kosher.
You bought meat every day if you needed it, because there was no refrigeration. So every day you had to go to the butcher to buy today's supply. And you went to the grocery and whatever you needed. My mother had a little cellar that she would keep, like if she'd make fish for Shabbos.
It had a cement floor, and we could keep potatoes for the winter and all different vegetables that you can keep for a long time.
My mother used to send me for butter. But we went to someone that churned fresh butter, and I used to love butter, and on the way home I would eat half of it plain and then have to go back for more.
My mother used to cook and bake. Friday morning she used to get out about 4 o'clock, start the oven, and bake bread and challah.
In the morning, everybody was busy. We didn't eat in the morning as a family. Everybody ate whenever they would.
For breakfast and for lunch. And my mother she was a good cook. She used to make a big soup.
I believe that every woman, every mother cooked the same kind of food in Lubommel. You didn't have Italian, Chinese, Japanese, Korean. You ate Jewish food. It was the krepler, knedler, latkes, latkes. In Purim you had Hamantash, and Chanukah you had latkes. And Shabbos you had a chont and a kigel. And they would all do it, except some would do it better, and everybody would praise their own mother that she was the better cook or the better baker.
And then there were babies to take care of and clean and wash and mend. I remember my mother mending forever things. She was always sewing on something. This one tore this and this one tore that. 6 children.
Life was challenging in many ways, especially when someone fell sick. There was no hospital, for most no telephone to call a doctor, and in fact usually only one doctor in town. For many people, folk remedies saved the day.
Abe, you remember Bankis?
Yeah, this is my first thing with a feldsher, not a doctor.
A feldsher?
Yeah, but he specialized to put this on your back
Oh,
when
he
you're
was.
sick.
Oh, I see. He was the man who came. Oh, I see.
To the house,
really,
not the doctor.
It wasn't. I mean,
no.
It wasn't done by a parent. You had to have like.
It was woman specialist with the new too. But if you want to pay and have a professional, you used to ask a feldsher.
And how?
And he used to come to the house and put in a little alcohol there, lit it, and then put you on the back. And both sides, 3 ropes, and one side, one, and then there was like a suction.
And then when they removed it, there was a round red.
Yeah, they'll
mark.
always sit there.
Yeah,
and maybe for a week sit there, you could see the mark. And
if you had a cold, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of help. Pulled out you whatever inside you had, the germs or something, and you walked away healthy.